Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast episode at Dev Device. My name is Dano Falk. I'm the founder and e-commerce consultant here. And today I have the great pleasure to welcome Mr. Nino Vang, who is the founder at Way of Work. Welcome, Nino.
Thank you for having me, Dano.
Yeah, we met on LinkedIn, I think. I came across your profile. I couldn't help but noticing that you're doing incredible work with Way of Work and also with another company. This is probably not the first company you're starting. So am I right to assume that you are a serial entrepreneur? Is that right?
Well, you could call it that by now for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you doing right now, Nino? What is your main work going on right now?
Right now, I'm building Way of Work, which is a company that aims to change the way people work. We are helping companies hire remote tech talent. We started with tech talent from around the world to basically equalize the world resources, be more sustainable, and get companies more more for their money basically. So it's not always at your postcode where the best talent is.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So I guess you are different from freelance platforms like Fiverr or Upwork or something, right? What is the unique thing you're doing at the Way of Work?
Yes, we're more like a boutique company, so we
Yeah.
do everything. You contact us, let us know what you need. We would work in the background. We have robots, we have real people, we have very skilled recruiters that will do a big background job and drill down to a few candidates we will present to you. So we basically help you set up a profile. We do the search. We put out everything on our network, and we gather enough candidates so we can promise you that you're going to be presented a few ones that are really good. So this way you don't have to chase people. You don't have to negotiate with people, and we do all that for you because we believe we are better than that, than most clients, and then our clients can focus on their real tasks instead of recruiting people, because it is a specific skill. You need to know where to find them, how to negotiate with them, how to sell the employer to them, etc. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can completely relate to that. Yeah. So when I start hiring people, I know I'm not an HR expert, and that's when you guys would come in, right? Because you understand how to do this, where to find the right people, and you kind of do all the heavy lifting for me, and I can just then and you just present to me the few guys who are or ladies who would be suitable, and that makes the whole process a lot more easy. That sounds like a great proposition, and I guess your clients are coming from all over the world, just like your staff or your human resource people, right?
yes, that's correct. Initially, we thought it will mostly be the rich Western countries where the clients would come from, but suddenly we started seeing clients from, less wealthy countries like Nigeria, uh, Slovenia, the medium wealthy countries, basically, where they would also contact us because they saw the benefits from hiring remote. Um, so it is, I would say, mid and upper tier countries.
Okay. But it's a global online business, and basically anyone on the world in the world can approach you and ask for your help to get the exactly right people onto the team, right?
That's correct.
That sounds good, man. And you founded this company when? How long? How old is this company?
It's only a couple of years old, so it's a new
That's a long
new
time
venture.
today, a couple of years. Like in these days, it's like a like an eternity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like shorter, but it was started during COVID, inspired by COVID. So it time just went by, and then suddenly we're 2 years in.
Oh yeah, yeah. I cannot tell you how many startups have been inspired by COVID. It's unbelievable. Like how many times I've heard this. Like yeah, and then COVID hit, and I was sitting at home, and I was kind of figuring out something new to do. I mean, I don't know if you were sitting at home, but this is the story I hear a lot. Like how COVID kind of created the space, the time and the headspace to do something new, and then people got active, and sometimes amazing things came out of that. So yeah, so there is some upside to COVID in a way, somehow. But the topic of this podcast is to kind of understand your life journey and to understand how you came to this place where you are today. So if you don't mind sharing, what was it like to be 10-year-old Nino?
Well, immigrant son in Sweden,
Hmm.
with all the things that comes with it. Extreme introvert,
Oh,
um, tech
you were
interested.
born where? Right now
Uh,
you're in Spain, right? But you're not born in Spain and you're not Spanish, so you
so I
come
was
from a
born in
completely different.
Croatia. I was born in
Born in
Croatia.
Croatia.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Came
so
young
that
to
is where your
Sweden.
family come from.
Yes, came young. Oh, my family comes from former Yugoslavia, so it's 7 countries right now. It used to be one country,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and now it's fragmented. But yeah, I came immigrant as an immigrant to Sweden, young, interested of tech, introvert, typical
What
geek,
age? What
basically.
age did you move to Sweden?
8.
8 years old.
Yes.
It sounds it is unbelievable. I mean, it's like for the past 5 people I spoken to, they all migrated age 10 or 8. Like within that, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm one of them. So I also changed countries completely when I was 10 years old, and
Mm.
it seems to be a common theme with entrepreneurs that somewhere in their childhood they completely moved to a different country. And yeah, so welcome to the club.
I think it's a very sensitive age to move.
Yeah.
You're starting to understand things, and things are happening in your life. You lose all your friends. You move to a new place, and
Yeah.
I guess things that hit you the hardest, also strengthen you the hardest. So maybe that's the common factor in a lot of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
stories. Yeah.
yeah. It's unbelievable, but yeah, I completely agree. I think this experience is a real challenge. But as you said, you lose all your friends, so the environment. So oftentimes the language changes, the culture changes, the
Mm.
way. I mean, almost everything around you just changes completely. And to adapt to this new environment, I think that's where we develop this entrepreneurial stuff in a way. I mean, it seems to be the case because I see this
Survival mode.
happening so often. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you came to Sweden, you had to learn a new language, I'm assuming.
Yes, yes, but
There you go.
uh, thank God when you're a child, it goes quickly. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's harder
yeah.
to
I
learn
remember.
Spanish now.
Also, now this is the next language you need to learn because you live in Spain.
Yes.
Yeah. But so your first language was Croatian, and the second one was Swedish. Well, you obviously speak English, and now Spanish is also on the list. Yeah, welcome to the club. Yeah, I have a similar background with languages, and I used to watch cartoons a lot when I came to Germany. My teacher was watching cartoons on TV, so that's how I learned German.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So Sweden was your school time and your teenage time. That was all happening in Sweden.
Yes. So basically, around age 10, my father bought me a computer, or he bought himself a computer to work from, and I managed to kind of um, start using it, and got better and better at it, and investigated every corner of that computer, both the hardware and the software, because I was so interested. I really loved the technology that was coming up then. It was Windows 3.0, if I don't remember wrong. And yeah, started using that, and by age 12, 13, I was a pretty proficient programmer,
Oh,
building my own stuff on the computer, talking to people online when internet started to be a thing, and starting building friends there, trying to understand everything that was going on. And I quickly saw that this was something I wanted to do, like something in technology. And a few years later, people started contacting me to, help them with their computer, minor stuff. And eventually it ended up me building some software for the police force in Sweden.
Wow.
We started, going digital with things. So by age 15, I sold my first company or application to the Swedish police force. And that's how it all kicked off.
Wow, that is so amazing. You sold your first company to the police age 15.
Yeah,
Again, there's somebody else who did something similar. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. So you were so good at programming as a teenager that you managed to sell your first company. Well, yeah. So that's entrepreneurship. I mean, that's as exciting as it gets, right? So I guess that gave you a good taste of what you can do just by figuring things out and solving problems.
yeah, it was like it wasn't any large amounts. It was a minor amount, but for me, I saw there was an opportunity there definitely, and this kind of led to, after I finished high school, I was supposed to go to read to become a civil engineer in IT, basically in Gothenburg. And I quickly saw that what I'm gonna study there, this is the things I already knew since I was 12, because the education was really
What's new,
lacking in,
guys?
in technology. It was like I'm gonna sit there for 4.5 years and just read the same things I already know. And this basically led me to um, to basically try to start another tech company, see what's possible, what's not. And I quickly saw in Sweden, being it's not a very capitalistic friendly country. So as a young person, it was really hard to start a company in the late 90s. So I eventually moved to Norway, which is was just a 2-hour drive to Oslo. And there I saw a huge demand for workforce. And in the same way, we had big unemployment in Sweden back then, especially young people. So I decided to sit down and write a business plan and try to raise some capital at age 19.
Wow.
And at my around my 20th birthday, I was running around between banks in Oslo and trying to get them to give me a loan to start a recruitment company where I was going
Oh,
to send Swedish people to Norway, basically.
like the
And
early way of work.
yeah, I mean, this was the first big company I started. And after many no's, I eventually got to a bank to finally gave me a loan to start it. And the first year, we had a revenue of 19.6 million kroner, which is around 2 million euros, with a
In
gross
the
profit
first year.
in the first year, with a gross
That's
profit
not
of
bad at all.
yeah, it was great, with a gross profit of around 15%. So from there it took off, and when I sold it around 10 years later, 12 years yet later, I had 1,300 people working for us, um,
Wow.
and um,
That's an
and
empire.
by then we had basically built one of Norway's leading recruitment companies. My mission was to build this people bridge over to Sweden. So it's the facilitation. We would actually give better life to Swedes to come to Norway, even though Swedes have a pretty good decent life. But if you look at the working class side, we actually gave 40-50% better salaries to people than they would get in Sweden. So over those years, we hired over 20,000 Swedes that came
Oh,
to Norway
wow.
in all industries. We started with construction, went over to oil and gas, healthcare. We were touching every side of the economy, which was which was pretty fun to follow. And I've done I was getting exhausted after all the working, so I felt it was time to sell. I sold the company in 2015. We merged with another competitor, and our name was Hamilton People, and we then merged with another competitor and became, I think, third or fourth largest recruitment company in Norway. After that, I moved to London, from Norway to London. COVID came, and I was sitting home alone and thinking, I'm sitting on this money now. What should I do now? Like, is this the purpose of life, really? And when I ask people what's the purpose of life, a lot of them go on and say, "Oh, you should be happy, you should enjoy life, and those things." And I didn't make it. It didn't really make sense for me. So during COVID, I had a lot of time to think, and one of those things I realized for me, and I think for everybody, purpose of the purpose of life is to basically make your species more resilient, harder, better, stronger. So I think every person
Wow.
is something on this earth to make us a little bit stronger. It doesn't have to be financially. It doesn't have to be technically. It can be socially. It can be with ethics. It can be with so many angles from here. Culture is an important part of our evolution. There's so many angles here, and for me, if you just, excuse the language, live, shit, and die, you kind of waste of space, waste of energy. If you do nothing to make us a little bit better, you're not really contributing. So I started thinking, what can I do to do the most impact for the rest of my life? And one of those things was I'm really good at technology. I cannot learn a lot of new skills when I'm 35. So I'm good at technology and I'm really good at recruitment. So I tried to combine those things, and I really liked what I did in Norway, bringing all these Swedes over there, creating all those jobs, lifting the whole economy. I thought, how can I do this 100x or 1000x? And I was thinking long about it, and then COVID hit, and it made me realize, but most of all, made companies realize they can actually start hiring remote. And the chances of you finding the best talent in your postcode is very, very small. I can almost guarantee there are better talent somewhere else in your time zone. It's lots to pick off when you start looking. So basically, I started way of work, which is I want to challenge the way people work. I know it's going to create a lot of jobs. We hire people where the jobs are most needed. So you basically get a better person, for a third of the price, first of all, for the company. So a company is not spending the resources, and then for the second, you're creating jobs where they're most needed. We pay well, we pay above average, and this way you're contributing on both sides. Both in the rich world and in the poor world. It's good for the earth. People don't have to commute, but
Yeah.
here's the thing: what a lot of companies forget: if you pay a developer 300,000 euros a year in Norway, that person is gonna use world's resources 10 times more than a person in Croatia that maybe might cost you 40,000 euros per year with better skills. So it's still EU, it's still Europe, but people, companies overpay, overuse world resources just because they don't have the knowledge how to hire remotely, or they're too afraid of it to take the step, and so on. So started the way of work. We want to hire at least 100,000 people around the world remotely. And we think we will, we're gonna slowly start revolution where we change how people work, how companies hire, and thereof the name way of work. This is how the name.
Wow, that is a very strong mission you're following there. This is not just another company. This is actually a mission to change the world and how the whole work space is operating, right? So that is a big thing, man. And you definitely have the skills to do it. You have the tech skills. You have built one of the most successful hiring companies in Norway. So you know your shit. Pardon my language.
I mean, we hope so. At least then I know I tried, and I'm gonna do this the rest of my life. I'm gonna push this the rest of my life. See how much we can impact, because I mean, let's be honest. If I go to Africa tomorrow and save, give food to 5 kids, that's not really gonna do. I mean, it's sad to say, but that's not gonna do a big impact in the next 500 years, in the next 1,000 years. It's gonna do a micro impact locally, and maybe not sustainable. But if we change how people work, if we bring the economy to where they are, if we start, we're hiring a lot of people in South Africa, Nigeria, Somalia, that are really good. And if we are bringing the capital down there, thanks to technology, this is a part why internet was being built to connect the world. So I think, in the long run, if we hire 10,000, 100,000 people, that's actually going to be visible in 500,000 years from now. You're going to see that impact, on our species. Our species is going to become a little bit stronger everywhere in the world, but by doing these things. And so this is why I think it's important that everybody, thinks about what are they going to impact throughout their life, because don't just eat shit and die. Don't waste of space.
Yeah, dude, you have a very strong slogan for your purpose there. Don't eat shit and die, but make the species stronger. This is a new one to me, man. I mean, you're really thinking of the entire human species, and you want to make to kind of elevate the strength of mankind altogether. I mean, this is an approach which I haven't heard before, but it's respectable. So, I mean,
but it does make sense, doesn't it? Like,
yeah. I mean, what is the future of mankind? I mean, that's a very big question, and I mean, strong in a way if it involves to collaborate with the environment and maybe be a bit smarter about resources and I mean, there are like really dark scenarios, from this climate change scientists who say that this planet will not be around anymore in 50 years. So I think strength should also involve like how we deal with this planet and how much pollution we create and how we deal with resources. But yeah, basically to make mankind stronger and smarter and better, I think that's a very strong mission. And yes, I agree.
Sure.
Maybe
bringing jobs to the planet where bringing jobs where it's really needed, that will kind of increase the whole intelligence level of us around the world. You in a way we will be educating people in the same way. If you increase education, if you increase the economy where it's really needed, you are actually making the biggest impact to also in the future be able to save the world. I believe technology will help us. I believe we are very smart species already, and we are not doing enough now, but I believe it's going to accelerate, and we're going to find ways to solve these problems like we did with all crises before. So it is for sure a big problem that hopefully will be solved.
Yeah, and there is more to it than just being happy. I mean, I agree with you. To me, this be happy is also sounds a bit hollow. I mean, American people seem to have like a lot of attention on being happy all the time. But to me, the purpose of life is, I agree. To me, it doesn't resonate to be happy. I think there must be something deeper, and happiness is oftentimes something that is like as a reaction to an external tease or an external stuff. When I see this, I'm happy. I do this, I'm happy. But what if these things go away? I mean, then what? So I think just happiness in terms of reacting to something external, to me, that is not sustainable. And what you're saying, like this purpose to to grow mankind, I think makes a bit more sense. And but the purpose of life, that's a really big one. So
It is, it
if
is,
we
and
dig
everybody
if we
has
dig into that
everybody
would
has
be
their
another
own,
two
right?
hours.
So, but here's the twist. Like, when I hire, every time I hire 5 new people, 10 new people, and I feel I'm going towards my goal, I become
Yeah,
happy. So,
yeah.
happy is a result of what you do. So, but I don't think it's the
Following your passion. Yeah,
purpose.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, I call it joy. When something comes from within, I call it joy. So that's but yeah, I mean, this is about your story and about your purpose, and I think it's quite amazing how you frame it and what makes you experience happiness, fulfillment, and it's actually to create like a new way of work for the planet, which I completely agree would have a huge impact. If people in all these countries with like very little opportunity, now suddenly they can do stuff. And I'm guessing that you also help to educate them in some way. So if somebody is not completely, I mean, if somebody joins your company or your prospects, then I guess there will also be a way for them to improve their skills and to be a better match for what is required of them.
Yeah, we normally we make sure to help our clients to onboard them in the right way, because working remote is a new thing, and we're trying to give our clients the help they need to be able to onboard, train, motivate, and handle the remote talent, basically, because it is a new thing. The principles are the same as having people in the office, but it is just, you need a different tool set, uh, with the same principle. You need a different tool set to be able to handle remote talent in a good way. And it's again, I think this is the future. It's, the rule of economics will kind of solve it on its own, instead of paying someone 10,
Yeah,
20,000 per month. You can hire someone through us in Eastern Europe for a fifth of
yeah,
the cost or half the cost.
exactly.
And
And then this guy is driving across town every day twice, and adding pollution, adding to the jam and traffic stuff. So yeah, it really doesn't make sense. I had a similar thought also, like why are people hiring? Why are they still doing this office stuff? I mean, yeah, of course, it's good to meet people once in a while. I agree. I mean, we cannot replace everything with screens. So it's like human, like face-to-face interaction is important. But I think it could be like a small part of the whole working experience. And I think, yeah, what you're doing there makes a lot of sense. Where do you see the biggest challenges in this endeavor, in your way of work business? What are the biggest challenges for you?
I think it lays with the employer. A lot of them are pushing back on the remote work, even though all studies show, done correctly, it's 46% more productive. You get more output. Over 50% of the time people are in the office, they do something else, and the rest of the time they're not 100% effective. But
Oh
when
yeah,
people if people sit at home, you have the right management, you have the right tools, you have the right principles. you know People want to be effective for maybe shorter hours of the day, but then they're going to be really effective. And it's about setting the targets correctly. It's about being realistic of outputs. And if you give people the freedom, they most of the time they're going to be delivering better than in the office. So for
yeah,
me, it's about educating the clients on how to leverage this new way of working, um, because done right, there's so much more productivity we could get out with the same resources. So again, spending a lot of time on a on the payrolls that gonna sit in the office, it doesn't really make sense. with the current environment we have. So it's about educating the clients basically to giving them the confidence to move on and to try remote work basically.
So the biggest challenge is the mindset and the tradition that's in the employers' heads somehow, because they somehow don't understand the potential of remote work, and for some reason they believe their staff needs to be sitting in their office, and that's the only way.
Yeah, they like to force people into the cubicle basically, and they
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
gonna.
that's it's kind of weird, right? I mean, yeah, it is weird. Like my team is remote completely. Yeah, so I completely on in your boat with that. So I also don't see the point to have people from my neighborhood come to the office, and you know, there's so many upsides to have a remote team. I mean, of course, there are challenges. You know, you cannot watch them. You know, you have to trust them. So that is one, but
But
I think
you cannot watch them in the office either. You think you watch them,
exactly, yeah,
but what
exactly,
you're
yes,
actually doing in the office, you're communicating with them, and
yeah,
you can still communicate with people even if they are not, if
of
you're not
course,
looking at their screen. It
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah,
gives better productivity, better creativity. So
yeah,
again,
yeah,
the right tools, right skill set of the management is the key to succeed here. But
exactly.
yeah, so it's. No, it's definitely challenges there still. So and I am biased on some of these things. I like to meet with people when I negotiate or those things. But thinking about it overall, how much time you save by not traveling, by not using only local people, in the end it makes sense that I think more and more things are going to become remote. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think you are on a great mission, and I wish you all the best of success with that. Because, yeah, I agree. What you're doing will make the world a better place and will give work to so many people who are desperate for work right now, and who are maybe not able to feed their children. And because of your initiative and your help, they might be able to do that. Within a short period of time. So I think that is really adorable. Yeah.
I I I I
Wow.
I hope we succeed. I hope me and my team um,
I'm
manage to
very
succeed.
confident. I mean, yeah, I'm very confident you're going to succeed. I think you're already succeeding in a certain way, but yeah, I do wish you all the best with that, because so many people and companies will benefit from your efforts and from your systems. I have a little question that came to my mind. You know what? When you said you sold your company in Norway, your first company, and you moved to London, and you reached time and financial freedom, I assume. How did you feel?
Um, it felt a little bit empty, to be honest. It felt
Funny,
like
yeah.
I lost the purpose of something, so it felt a little bit empty. So that was kind of the thing that started the whole thought process of getting here. So yeah, it didn't feel as I was expecting it to feel, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's also an important lesson. I also I had this experience of selling a company, and it was. I mean, I was really celebrating for some time. But yeah, I mean, there's this funny thing where we work so hard and we think we want to reach this time and money freedom, and that's the holy grail. And once we're there, there is this sense of emptiness, like being a bit lost. You kind
Yeah.
of you lost your child in a way, because this company you spent so much time and energy to build it, and now it's gone. And it has some really weird aspects to it as well. So it's
Yeah.
not
So even if
just
you're
business.
happy, the purpose is not there, right?
Yeah, yeah. This happiness can be short lived. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, then the question comes up, like, what now? What's next? And yeah, finding purpose. I think that's what actually drives us, and not just having all the money and time freedom in the world. Yeah. So it's inspiring to hear that from you, because we're sharing this experience in some way. I mean, I didn't build a company of your size, but I still kind of relate, you know, to this experience of letting go and what's next. Yeah. So this was a great episode. I learned so much about your work, about, you know, how you can help people, and I would love to spread the word about this. And I hope this podcast will also help you to kind of educate people about the potential from the employer side and also from the workforce side. And I hope they will all come and talk to you, and there will be much more matchmaking happening in the near future. Do you have some final words of wisdom you would like to share with our audience here?
Well, there are so many. But you know, think about your purpose. You know, think about what you can do for us, for the human species, and not just yourself. In the end, you're gonna feel better about it. You're gonna be happier if you make other people happier.
Yeah. To give, yeah, I completely agree. To give and to serve others is what it feels much closer to the heart than to consume. Yeah. That was wonderful, Nino. And any links, any contact options you would like me to share, I will put it under the video in the description so people can reach out to you.
Thank you.
And I just would like to thank you so much for being here and sharing your life story. It was really inspiring, and I hope we can stay in touch and and cooperate on growing way of work.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate your time talking to me.
Thanks, man.